Okay, so the last video we talked about how to structure your introductions. So now we need to talk about the paragraphs. So, sorry, just give you a stroke. Alright, so we did the iTask stuff. We're all good with that. If you're not good with that, go back to the video and watch it again. Or have a look at the PowerPoint so you can kind of pull it apart. Okay, so, the body of the essay needs to be grouped into paragraphs that discuss where your articles align with ideas. Okay? Now, we talked earlier about, where is it? We talked earlier about how to find those crossovers in the first video so that you can find those areas where your articles can align. So go back and have a look at that if you need some more help with that. But we're assuming you've already found your moments of kind of like alignment, your ideas that align. So let's have a look. Okay, so first off, let's talk what you need to put in your topic sentences. So in your topic sentence, what I would really recommend that you put in is a discussion of like what the alignment between the three articles is. So I've got some examples here. So I might say something like, all three articles examine the idea of the efficacy of police presence in controlling teens. So that outlines to me, okay, this is like where the alignment is, that they all talk about how effective it's going to be to put police in schools. And then I would then talk about what each of them argue. So for instance, I've said here, Lanza argues this, while Smith argues that. Here's another example. While Lanza and Smith present the idea of police interventions in school as counterproductive, Richardson alleges that such a program would keep rogue students under control. Okay, so can you see how I'm actually using the topic sentence as an opportunity to make a comparison? Remember, that's the second part of how this is assessed. So it's really important that you are putting in comparison wherever you really can. So this is a great opportunity. My next example, all three articles present conflicting views on the idea of police intervention in schools, let's say hypothetically. Richardson believes that, whatever I believe. However, Smith sees that, blah, blah, blah. Despite this, Lanza, blah, blah, blah. So you can create those comparisons, while you're presenting the arguments and where they cross over. Last but not least, while Lanza neglects to examine whatever it is, because remember, you might find that some articles don't address all of the same things. So, if you've got an alignment that only really has two articles, then maybe you need to say something like this. While Lanza doesn't talk about this, Callanan and Smith both discuss whatever it is, whatever the alignment is. Okay, moving along. The guts of the analysis. Whoop. There we go. The guts of the analysis. The analysis of each persuasive pull. So once you've kind of done your topic sentence and outlined where your alignment is and any sort of argument that you want to discuss, then what you need to do is start analysing the persuasive pulls used. Your analysis of each persuasive pull should include the following information. Okay, so there are three kind of steps. The first thing you do is you quote it. So you give the quote of what was said, and then you answer those two questions of mine. Now, for some reason, I've written 1, 2, 3. I apologise. So you've got question 1. Sorry, Darla's decided that she wants to be in the video again. Yes, look, there you are. There you are. Are you going to say hi? No, you got to look this way. There we go. Alright, we're back. She's really demanding tonight. She's not happy that I'm making a video at all. Anyway, so the first thing you have to do is write down the quote. Then you answer the two questions. 1, what does it attempt to make the reader think or feel? Okay, so is it trying to make them think that police could possibly be dangerous? Is it trying to make the reader think that that police could be beneficial in providing role models? Is it trying to make the reader think that people's human rights are being infringed upon and you know, that's a very dangerous thing? What is it trying to make the reader think? Now, that step, you have to be careful that what you are doing is analysing what they're trying to manipulate you to think, and not slipping into the habit of either writing very vague statements like, oh, they're trying to make the reader think about the issue. Like, what does that even mean? Or it's trying to make the reader, you know, read on. It's trying to make the reader read on. What does that mean? Don't write that. Be specific. And the best way you can be specific is actually picking apart the actual word choice made. Now, the more depth you give on this, these two questions, the better result you're going to get, because this is really where you are showing your ability to analyse. And remember, this task is called Analysing and Comparing Argument. Okay? So that's really, really important. So we do, what does it attempt to make the reader think and feel? Then you move to your second question, which is, how does that thought or feeling, so say the thought that police could be dangerous in schools, how does that thought make me more likely to agree with the author's contention and their argument? So you're tying it back to the argument. Now, don't just restate the contention or restate the argument. That's not showing me how it relates. Okay, you've got to tell me how it relates to the argument and the contention. Okay, not just restating it. Okay, all right, so here's an example. Now, it is quite a long example because these paragraphs are big. That's why we're giving you so much time to write this SAC, because it is quite a big piece to write. So, here we go. My example paragraph. The green is obviously the topic sentence. So, let's have a read. Sorry, I'm going to have to... Dala, move. She literally got her head on top of the computer. Can I show you? No. She's like literally lying her head on the keyboard because she's like, no, it's me. And she's like licking the keyboard and I can't stop her. She's determined. Stop. Dala, off. Okay, let's move me down. Start. Okay, so all three articles examine the idea of the efficacy of police presence in controlling teens. So that's where my alignment is, that they all look at how efficient, how effective police presence would be at controlling teens in schools. Okay, Dirkley and Burke argue that police will be useless to help at-risk students, while Park believes that the police... Hang on. Sorry guys, I had to stage an intervention with my dog. So in that first bit of the sentence, what I've done is outlined where the alignment is between the three arguments. Okay, then I go into what they individually argue. So what the individual arguments are. Dirkley and Burke argue that police would be useless to help at-risk students, so that's what they both argue, while Park believes that police could help in at-risk schools just as they have in many other states. Okay, so I kind of outline each of their arguments. Alright, now here's the pink, which is me presenting the quote. And I'm going to start with Dirkley. Okay, so Dirkley presents the idea that adolescents who are classified as at risk often already have relationships relationships with government authorities, sometimes quite negative ones that include being constantly stopped and searched, constantly being stopped and searched, targeted by PSOs, and followed out of a store by security guards. Okay, so that is the quote. Now notice that I don't just kind of vomit the quote on there. What I actually try and do is embed the quote into a description of what is being said. Okay, so that's the quote. Now I'm doing question 1. This assertion encourages the reader to view adolescents as a group that already has a fraught relationship with authorities. So that's what is it attempting to make them think? And hints that putting police in schools would only exacerbate this tension. And that's my question 2. Moreover, given that the readership of this piece would be people engaged in the legal profession, the reader is also encouraged to empathise with at-risk adolescents that seem to be having their lawful right to freedom of movement being impinged upon by overzealous police officers. Okay, so there I'm doing my question 1. Looking at it from a different angle, so giving more depth. The other thing that I would draw your attention to that I'm doing here is that I'm directly engaging with the discussion of the audience. So who is the target audience? So I discovered that the target audience for the first article was actually about people who worked in the legal profession, right? So I'm then kind of really honing my question 1 answer in with the idea of audience. How is that particular audience affected by the persuasive pull? Okay. Oh no, the terror's back. Alright, so then I go into my question 2, giving more depth, thus making the reader question whether this sort of behaviour would occur in schools if police were granted access. This frightening thought then encourages the legal-minded reader to calculate the legal risks involved in introducing police to school and viewing it as an idea that contains more risk than reward. Okay, so again, giving more depth to my question 2. Alright, then, now this is all in the same paragraph. I know, it's a big paragraph. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a big paragraph. Okay, going down. Now, as you can see, poo colour's back. Yay! Now, the reason poo colour is back is because I'm making some comparison. You need to make comparison within these paragraphs. It's got to be there. Okay? So, and it makes a really good way of transitioning from one article to another. And that's how I kind of use comparison, is a way to transition from talking about one article to the next article. So, here I've got here. Although not seeing it from an empathetic or legal perspective, there's my comparison, Mike Burke agrees, again comparison, that having police on school grounds in order to monitor at-risk students would not benefit Victorian schooling. Okay, so I've got some comparison there, and it's helped me move into my next article. And now I give the quote. He states that the kind of enforced discipline that comes at the end of a police officer's truncheon has no place in schools, and that the idea is ridiculous and horrific. Okay, so there's my quote. What I've actually done is given 2 quotes, but in like kind of like the same thing, because I felt like I could combine the discussion of both of them. The allusion to the idea of police violence with the use of the word truncheon aligns with Dirkley's concern of potential police mistreatment, again leading the reader to believe that the implementation of such a program could do more harm than good. So, question 1, question 2. Furthermore, the dramatic word choices of ridiculous and horrific imply that it would be absurd to insert police into a school environment, not to mention potentially dangerous. Obviously, the use of the word horrific there implies potentially dangerous. So I just gave a little bit more of question 1 there. However, we've got more poo colour, that means more comparison. However, Park, which is the third article, Park does not see the same opportunity for risk as both Burke and Dirkley. Okay, so I'm comparing all 3 articles now. Most probably due to his own involvement in the police force. So again, I've engaged relationship. So earlier I talked about audience, and now I'm talking about relationship. Now that's important. So I would say audience and relationship, if you can feed it into your paragraphs, it kind of is a bit more high-end. So, probably most probably due to his own involvement in the police force. Now, I'm giving my quote. He states that he does not think police would see their roles to bully or harass students, but to guide and assist them. So that's the quote. I've got a little bit more comparison there. This rebuts both Dirkley and Burke's hints at potential violence. Just a little bit of comparison, highlighting that police would understand their role in school not as pastoral, not crime fighting. Okay, so telling me what it's attempting to make the reader think. It's attempting to make them think that police would understand that they're there to be pastoral, to look after people, and not to fight crime. And now question 2, how does it make me more likely to agree with the contention? This is said by Park to make the reader more likely to believe that police could potentially play a positive role in at-risk students' lives if such a program was implemented. Okay, so tying it back to the contention, to Park's contention. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Those question 1 and 2, they're really great ways to ensure that you are analysing and not just regurgitating or explaining what is being said, but that you're analysing why things are being said. Okay, that's the big difference. What you don't want to be doing is talking about what is said. What you want to be doing is talking about why these things are said. What are they trying to do? Okay? Hopefully it also shows you a little bit about how to kind of embed some comparison. Use it as a really good kind of bridge from one article to the next. Okay, I will see you in the next video to talk about how to do conclusions and finish up. Bye!